I was married for, oh my God, I need to stop. I was married for over 20 years, and like, I was so used to being a wife. Like, I loved being married, you know? Like, I love being a wife. I love having like that one person I love coming home to, and like,
After leaving over 20 years of marriage, she thought it would be easier to find someone to replace her husband. But things got to the point where she now misses the life she had. She no longer enjoys being outside as things aren't the way she expected, and now she wants her old life back.
Why are so many women in their 40s divorced or thinking about divorce? Imagine this. She's been running the household, managing the kids' schedules, excelling at her career, and still picking up her husband's slack. And now she's wondering, what's the point of this partnership if I'm doing it all by myself? Here's what happens. High-achieving women hit a breaking point. They're exhausted. They've tried motivating their husbands. Can you please help me with the kids? Or can you take on more at home? But nothing changes.
It's always fascinating that anytime they make this type of video, they try to paint their husband to be someone who brings nothing to the table, someone who does nothing for the family, but we all know this is not always the case. If you carefully listen to how she started to describe the husband of those women, it sounds like they are just another child, and this is not the reality of most. They use that strategy to better fit their narrative. But at some point, they will need to come up with a new idea, because even the guys who are good husbands who would do anything for their family are still facing the same issue.
And resentment? Oh, it grows like wildfire. It's just incredibly difficult when one partner refuses to grow. And the longer she waits, the more she feels like she's losing herself. So if you're feeling this way, ask yourself, are you sacrificing yourself to keep the peace, or are you ready to reclaim your life? Because staying isn't the default answer. Choosing you, that's where the power lies.
We got married in our early 20s, back when we believed in fairy tales. And you think men don't get exhausted, so blame it on the husband. I've been married 27 years. Our kids moved out. My wife and I are now traveling and doing better than ever. Let's not overthink what life should be. Choose yourself. While men would rather be unhappy in marriage before even considering destroying their family. Go find yourself. There's always a woman out there that would appreciate us. There are two main reasons this phenomenon is happening, and in most cases, it has nothing to do with the fact that the husband wasn't being supportive at home. It goes beyond that. From the moment she mentioned high-achieving women, we already knew it had a lot to do with the feeling of outgrowing their husbands. And this is one of the biggest challenges independent women face in their relationship. This is the reason the chances of divorce increase in a marriage if the wife gets a promotion or starts making more than her husband. The other reason they are leaving their marriage is due to the false idea of endless options provided by dating apps and simps. It's interesting when they make this type of statement talking about choosing themselves, when usually men would rather do their best to work things out to keep the family together. In fact, most would rather stay even when they are not fulfilled in their relationship.
I just came to the realization that like, if you're 40 years old, you're fucked. Like, you're never gonna find love. Like, oh my God. Sorry, I woke up like really emotional because I was married for, oh my God, I need to stop. I was married for over 20 years, and like, I was so used to being a wife. Like, I loved being married, you know? Like, I love being a wife. I love having like that one person I love coming home to and like venting all my shit to. And now it's like,
This happens more often than we think, and we don't hear about them because only a few people vocalize their stories. But this realization usually comes a bit late when they compare it with their new reality. This is the moment it starts to kick in. So those who love to be wife should protect their marriage while they are still married. And unless you have real issues, don't just leave as things aren't looking good outside.
yeah, you date people and like sparks fly, and then it's just like, oh, I found better, you know. I had a fan on here, a TikTok follower, that messaged me, and she said, hey, I started talking to this guy, and I noticed on his Instagram, like those highlight reels, you were in one of his highlight reels, like you guys made a TikTok together. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my boyfriend, because we were like trying to work things out. It was long distance, whatever. And she's like, oh, well, we're talking. He said he was single. And I'm like...
From that moment, she realized that she went from being a wife to one of the women on Chad's list, and that wasn't her plan. Here she is thinking that she found her prince charming, not realizing that she was just another woman he was talking to. This is something she wasn't used to when she was dating 20 years ago, which is why she is so shocked by the realization that most aren't taking things seriously anymore.
I'm not even crying about that. I think I'm just more sad about the fact that, like, it's impossible. It's impossible to find someone that you will 100% trust. But honestly, 99% of the time it's because they're cheating, you know, because it's so accessible. Social media, talking to other women.
Nah, 40 is the new 20. We good. Don't give up. I got married at 98, had a child at 101. She's 27 now. Keep going. Don't quit. I don't know, girl. After seeing a lot of these couples on social media, I don't feel like we're missing anything. Same. I don't know how to be single. I only know how to be a wife. I feel the same. 40 next year. She still didn't understand that it's not completely related to age. I am not saying that it doesn't play its part, but it's not the main reason she is struggling in that department. The reality is that most people are finding it challenging, as those who are currently navigating it reported that it's hard out there, and it comes from all groups. This is the reason those who are still in a relationship should consider this data before leaving their partner, as things aren't the same as it used to be when they left 20 years ago. Unless you have serious issues in your relationship, leaving your partner could be a big mistake because it's getting harder to find someone who is intentional. Most people are engaging in hookup culture. They are no longer willing to commit as they used to, so those who are looking for someone to connect with on a deeper level will eventually struggle to find such person.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's my boyfriend, because we were like trying to work things out. It was long distance, whatever. And she's like, oh, well, we're talking. He said he was single. And I'm like...
She didn't expect to find herself in this position where she was just another woman he was entertaining. She thought she was the one, but reality presented her with another story. What gets a lot of people confused is the fact that they still believe that their dating pool is the same as when they left years ago. Also, the huge wave of simps enforcing that idea with their daily messages got them fooled, and they leave their partner thinking that he would be easily replaced, only to realize that the option they initially thought they had weren't real. It was just an illusion, but usually they come to this conclusion a bit late, just like in this case where she misses what she had.
The vast majority of women that I know that are single are not single because they're not being chosen. They are single because despite the DMs and the countless, who is she, what's her deal, can you give me her number, can I get to know her, they are still choosing singleness because the vast majority of us have recognized that men do not have a good return on investment. I would never take a business deal that would require more of my time and energy and really not offer me anything other than that person being in my life as a return. It's just not, the math isn't mathing. I was in a relationship that I left, not because he was a bad person, not because he did anything wrong. He's a wonderful guy. I just decided that I wanted to, for the first time in a long time, feel what it was like and see what I could do with only using my energy on myself, my children, my friendships, and my businesses.
From the moment she mentioned business, we already knew where she was coming from. Since she is now able to take care of herself, he lost his position in her life, and this is the sad part of it. Unfortunately, she is not aware that men are a lot more than financial support.
And that's been a couple months in the running now, and things have been skyrocketing. I am choosing singleness because it is better for my future, for my children's future, and I am happy and more at peace being single.
I see more guy who wants to be single than women. Even my 22-year-old son wants a single life with zero interest in relationships. More than a few are chasing him. Long-standing statistics show that it will not be better for your children. I left my fiancé because I could fathom the idea of being his mom for the rest of my life, when previous to that I was single and carefree for 10 years. It felt like a bad deal. I spent a lot of my life going from one relationship to another, and I was never happy. Been single for 21 years and can't even remotely remember the feeling of men. From the moment she mentioned businesses, it made me think that since she felt like she was able to walk on her own feet without his support, their relationship no longer made sense. It seems like the main reason he was in her life was to support her financially, and it explains the fact that she had no issue letting him go, even though he was a good man. I don't know why some people believe that money can replace the presence of a father. Just because you are doing well financially and can take care of your kids doesn't mean that their father is no longer needed in the household. Fathers are more than money. We aren't there just to provide financial support. We do more than that, and this is what she should know. She placed too much importance on money, and this is why she wasn't able to recognize that he was more than a cash machine. Having a business and being financially successful shouldn't be the reason to ask for divorce. Their relationship ended about 2 months ago, and she mentioned that since then, things are going really well. But using this momentaneous feeling to support her decision is a sign of naivety. It's too early to get to that conclusion. Her opinion will definitely change in a few years. The moment she realizes that even though she could provide everything their children wanted, they would still trade those gifts and holidays with the presence of their father. At this point in her life, as their children are still young, she thinks that she will be able to play the father and mother role perfectly for many years to come. But this is not real.
Welcome to our self-development section. Most of us still don't know that the power to change our lives lies in our hands. We can change the course of our lives if we want to. We can live a completely different reality if we are willing to make the necessary changes.
You can change yourself. Human beings can live one way for 5 years and then tear up that script and live a totally different way the next 5 years. You're not a tree, you don't have to stay. You're not a goose, you don't have to fly south. I'm telling you, anytime you want to, you can say, I'm going to change my attitude, I'm going to change my income, I'm going to change my abilities, I'm going to do more than I've ever done before. Take on that as your God-given right as a human being to change your life to whatever degree you want it to change.
As Jim Rohn said in the video, the type of life we have lived means nothing. If we want to, we can experience a different reality, and this can be done as long as we are willing to welcome changes. The first thing we must consider is that it will require you to do more than what you have done so far. There is no way you will be able to get more, but still do the same thing. So as you accept this fact, you are already a step ahead of the majority. Most want more out of this life, however aren't willing to put more work in. And that is where they fall short, and consequently will never be able to achieve more than what they have. The main issue with most people is that we are not used to taking ownership of the things that happen to us, and it's keeping a lot of people behind. You must understand that changes will happen when you decide. As he mentioned in the video, you could have a certain lifestyle for the past 5 years and have a completely different experience in the next 5, and it can be accomplished if you make the necessary changes. So forget about your past. Just focus on your present and future, as this is what matters at this point. You can have your dream life. All you need to do is work towards it. And at some point, it will be yours. This is all for today's video, and we hope you like it. Make sure to subscribe to our channel on your way out.